Good morning, beautiful people of planet Earth and all other interdimensional entities. This is part 2 of reading Prince Ahmad and the fairy Peri-Banu. We got cut off. We were about 2.5 hours into the first video, and Charlie stood on the computer keyboard, which doesn't normally work anyway. That's why I have a external keyboard, and blipped us off. So go figure. Might have been the genie in the laptop, am I right? It's a bit tickety-boo sometimes. So it's at least another video, potentially another 2 videos, because it's quite a long story and a lot more to read. But I've decided to persevere, persistently persevere, like the psychedelic dreamer I am. And so we got cut off where Prince Ahmad had just met this wondrous fairy dressed in jewels and clearly of royal lineage in her realm, and she's called out to him by name, and he's curious to know how it is that she knows him, since he's never met her before, or doesn't remember ever meeting her before anyway. So she invites him to, come back to her belvedere, and there she will give him an answer. So yes, I'll start from there because it chopped off in the middle, but just for coherence, I'll repeat the beginning of that paragraph, so we're not just starting randomly in the middle of a paragraph. Just grab off my little note I made for myself. So they went thither, Prince Ahmad following her footsteps, and on reaching it, he was filled with wonder to see its vaulted roof of exquisite workmanship and adorned with gold and lapis lazuli, which is one of my favourite stones too, and paintings and ornaments whose like was nowhere to be found in the world. The lady, seeing his astonishment, said to the prince, "This mansion is nothing beside all my others, which now, of my free will, I have made thine own. And when thou seest them, thou shalt have just cause for wonderment." Then that sylph-like being took seat upon a raised dais, and with abundant show of affection seated Prince Ahmad by her side. Presently quoth she, "Albeit thou know me not, I know thee well, as thou shalt see with surprise when I shall tell thee all my tale. But first it behoveth me disclose to thee who I am. In Holy Writ belike thou hast read that this world is the dwelling place not only of men, but also of a race hight the Jann, in form likest to mortals. I am the only daughter of a Jinn chief of noblest strain, and my name is Peri-Banu. So marvel not to hear me tell thee who thou art, and who is the king thy sire, and who is Nur al-Nihar, the daughter of thine uncle. I have full knowledge of all concerning thyself and thy kith and kin. How thou art one of 3 brothers, who all and each were daft for love of Princess Nur al-Nihar, and strave to win her from one another to wife. Furthermore, thy sire deemest it best to send you all far and wide over foreign lands, and thou faredst to far Samarkand and broughtest back a magical apple made with rare art and mystery, which thou boughtest for 40,000 ashrafis. Then by means whereof thou madest the princess, thy lady love, whole of a grievous malady, And whilst Prince Hussein, thine elder brother, bought for the same sum of money a flying carpet at Bishangar, and Prince Ali also brought home a spying tube from Shiraz city. Let this suffice to show thee that naught is hidden from me of all thy case. And now do thou tell me in very truth, whom dost thou admire the more for beauty and loveliness, me or the lady Nur al-Nihar, thy brother's wife? My heart longeth for thee with excessive longing, O baby girl, and desireth that we may be married and enjoy the pleasures of life and the joyance of love. So say me, art thou also willing to wed me, or pinest thou in preference for the daughter of thine uncle? In the fullness of my affection for thee, I stood by thy side unseen during the archery meeting upon the plain of trial, and when thou shottest thy shaft, I knew that it would fall far short of Prince Ali's. So I hent it in hand ere it touched ground, and carried it away from sight, and striking it upon the iron door, caused it rebound and lie flat upon the rock where thou didst find it. And ever since that day I have been sitting in expectancy, wotting well that thou wouldst search for it until thou found it, and by such means I was certified of bringing thee hither to me. Thus spake the beautiful maiden Peri-Banu, who with eyes full of love longing looked up at Prince Ahmad, and then with modest shame bent low her brow and averted her glance. Little rascal she is. When Prince Ahmad heard these words of Peri-Banu, he rejoiced with joy exceeding, and said to himself, the Princess Nur al-Nihar is not within my power to win, and Peri-Banu doth outvie her in comeliness of favour, and in loveliness of form, and in gracefulness of gait. In short, so charmed was he and captivated that he clean forgot his love for his cousin, and, noting that the heart of his new enchantress inclined towards him, he replied, O my lady, O fairest of the fair, naught else do I desire save that I may serve thee and do thy bidding all my life long. I just had a funny thought, My love life is a bit like fairy stories all sort of conglomerately cobbled together. Like we had Mad Dog from the Outlaw Motorcycle Organisation. What would Mad Dog be in a fairy story? Someone I had to literally break bread with because I was courteous and noble after he whistled at me like an animal. I guess he'd be the Beast out of, the Beauty and the Beast. Then I had a dwarf that was rather enabled of me at the casino at the Treasury Live Wire Bar. He was fine for a while, but besotted with me. Invited me to go to Dubai with him to meet his father. I said, you want me to kill your father, don't you? The mere thought of you marrying a non-Muslim, a Jewish witch, would be enough to give him a heart attack. Yes, he said. How did you know? I said, oh, my darling, I'm a highly intelligent woman. I'm one step ahead of you. not just in height, but in intuition. Anyway, he got a little bit creepy and grabbed my crutch one night, so that was the end of him. What should we call that love story that didn't work out because of our differences, not just in height, but in acumen and couth? Snow White and one of the 7 dwarfs. He was literally a dwarf, through no fault of his own, you understand, just like I am the daughter of the gods, through no fault of my own, you must understand. Then I took a casual partner one time. He was English, came from Yorkshire. Yorkshire, how wonderful. Not! But anyway, we did have a very pleasurable encounter, and he was the one and only man to ever write me a love letter, or a love note in his case. And he called himself, I mean, you have to laugh. It gets insane, people of Earth, but he called himself Peter Pan. And he left me a note to tell me to look for him. And the 3rd star on the right, for which I was both enraged and kind of bemused, because Mama T is no Wendy. Anyway, that bloodless dog turned out to be either married or in partnership. Ran into him some years later at the West End drumming circle, which was beyond awkward. I just sort of looked at him like this. Nothing was said, did not dare come near me. One look that could kill was enough for him to know. Stay in your lane, boy chick. Don't come near me after having played some fucked up game. But anyway, I didn't remain angry because he might have met that lady after that. It was years after. Might have met her in the ensuing years. Then I had another weirdo that used to come to the Treasury. Very weird. Used to run into him at the supermarket down here at Whitesell, which tells me he lives somewhere in my vicinity, which was not a comforting thought, but to his credit, he never bothered me or stalked me, and just used to turn up at the casino and look at me like a sad lost boy, another offshoot of Peter Pan. Then there was the Dreadlock Nitwit, who I can't imagine what fairy story he comes from, but I had to invoke Papa Legbar to keep him away from stalking me at crossroads. And what do I have now? Nothing and everything. But I've been putting out that I need a king to my queen, so I can be queen to his king, a man of nobility, of courage and couth, who's capable of taking me on as his life partner. So we're still manifesting that. That's a whole other fairy story, people of Earth. But I think things are improving in my love life to the degree where the men around me at least are treating me with great delight and respect and honour. And that is something that I haven't been able to believe in or receive in for decades. So it's astonishing, but it's also none of those men are available to be my lover or my partner in any real, sexually, mutually exclusive way. So there was that. What fairy story would that be? Sleeping Beauty, who had to be woken with a kiss from her prince. But I'm not asleep anymore, people of Earth. I woke up quite some years ago and bing, bang, boom, baby. Someday my king will arrive and prove to me his deep love and affection, and mettle and loyalty and fidelity. Oh, smiles fire fucking learn. No, let's make it the most fantastic orchestral cacophonous crescendo of ecstasy and bliss. My darlings. Charlie even threw in a kiss there. Right, let's carry on. It just struck me as rather odd when I had that little epiphany just then. Very odd indeed. Now, and here I am reading fairy stories on YouTube, living out a parallel universe. Oh, well, if CERN would stop smashing the particles together, I might even have a human man who treats me with great honour and respect and integrity. Choose to be my lover and actually be a real man and have amazing sex and a wonderful partnership. Could happen. Which parallel reality are we on now, Tanya Aarons? I don't know. It's in the lap of the gods. Anyway, we carry on with the story. Just bear in mind that you live in my world. I don't live in yours. Titania's realm. And I'm in her world. Or does she like to tease and play me along sometimes? Her Majesty, the Queen Titania. But when you align yourself with the good folk, you do have to be careful because they do tend to take things quite literally, you understand. They're singing out, someday my prince will come. This is not the Walt Disney version. We need reality checks, my holy ones, my lovely ones, my queens and kings of the other realms. We need reality checks, my babies. They're laughing too. They feel sorry for me. They do. But I must not fall into feeling sorry for myself. I must create my new reality. One day at a time, or one breath at a time. Perhaps even one man at a time. I'm utterly loving when I'm in love with someone. No one else even gets a look in. I might have friends and I might be loving and accommodating and sweet to my other male friends. But when I'm passionately in love with someone, never mind. Let it go. Let it go. Look how quickly this guy in this fairy story, this Prince Ahmad, when presented with a woman with more jewels and more sass and more fucking money and ditched his love very quickly indeed. So was he really in love? Was it really real love? One could ask that question. It's a salient question to ask. Right. What are those women doing? Peering over the fence. They don't live there. Oh, keep an eye on that. They're taking photos of these trees. Oh, there's no harm in that. I do that sometimes. Well, anyway. So he's ditched the idea of the Princess Nur al-Nihar and he's decided that the fairy Peri-Banu is comeliness and favour and loveliness of form. I mean, she's fit, man, and gracefulness of gait, which means she walks with grace and dignity and elegance. In short, so charmed was he and captivated that he clean forgot his love for his cousin, and noting that the heart of this new enchantress inclined towards him, he replied, "O my lady, O fairest of the fair, naught else do I desire save that I may serve thee and do thy bidding all my life long. But I am of human and thou of non-human birth." It's a bit of a problem, that. "Thy friends and family, kith and kin, will haply be displeased with thee, and thou unite with me in such union," since he's considered of lower status, since he's mortal. But she made answer, "I have full sanction of my parents to marry as I list and whomsoever I may prefer." They're probably trying to get rid of her in that case. Just saying. "Thou sayest that thou wilt be my servant," it's been done to me. "Nay, rather offloading me on that fucking troll I married." Dear goddess, he was a troll. He really was a troll. Anyway, it was okay the first couple of years till I grew into my, till my brain fused together and I realised that I'd married a Neanderthal. But anyway, never mind. Life goes on, people of Earth. "Rather be thou my lord and master, for I myself and my life and all my good are very thine, and I shall ever be thy bondswoman. Consent now, I beseech thee, to accept me for thy wife. My heart doth tell me thou wilt not refuse my request." There's that entitled little ferret going with that vehicle. Yes, I'm watching you, watching me, watching you. I'm sure he does it just to stir me up, that man. He's not a bad person per se. He's actually been kind to me from time to time, helped me move furniture, but he grinds my gears how he acts like he owns the entire road. It's just obscene. Anyway. Then Peri-Banu added, "I have told thee already that in this matter I act with fullest authority. Besides all this, there is a custom and immemorial usage with us fairy folk, that when we maidens come to marriageable age and years of understanding, each one may wed according the dictates of her heart," which is the only reason why one should marry, in my opinion. Even then you can make terrible mistakes, people of Earth. Anyway, got a storm coming. "According the dictates of her heart, the person that pleaseth her most and whom she judgeth likely to make her days happy," which is reasonable. "Thus wife and husband live with each other all their lives in harmony and happiness. But if a girl be given away in marriage by the parents according to their choice and not hers, and she be mated to a helpmate unmeet for her, as happened to me, because ill-shapen or ill-conditioned or unfit to win her affection, then are they twain likely to be at variance each with other for the rest of their days, and endless troubles result to them from such ill-sorted union." Ain't that the truth, baby boys and baby girls? "Nor are we bound by another law which bindeth modest virgins of the race of Adam, for we freely announce our preference to those we love, nor must we wait and pine to be wooed and won." I like that. No fucking time wasters or game players or sadists or psychopaths or submissives or dominators or anyone less than a king to a queen and an equal shall be endured. When Prince Ahmed heard these words of answer, he rejoiced with exceeding joy, and stooping down, essayed to kiss the skirt of her garment. But she prevented him, and in lieu of her hem, gave him her hand. What I just said, she wants an equal, not some slathering of Sikius gimp. Oh, that would have enraged me already. Anyway, the prince clasped it with rapture, and according to the custom of that place, he kissed it and placed it to his breast and upon his eyes. Hereat quoth the fairy, smiling a charming smile, with my hand locked in thine, plight me thy troth, even as I pledge my faith to thee, that I will always true and loyal be, nor ever prove faithless or fail of constancy. Some chappie at the Brooklyn Standard one night said he thought I was a fairy. Kind of freaked me out for a brief moment in time, but I'm in service to the magical world, so I just nodded politely and said, perhaps I am. And quoth the prince, the fairies behind me just ran their fingernail up my back to say, don't push it, girlfriend. I won't, I promise I won't. I'm very well aware that I'm a mere mortal. Very well aware. Mortality is at hand at any given time. Angels, fae, gods. They like to stir me up sometimes too. And quoth the prince, O loveliest of beings, O dearling of my soul, thinkest thou that I can ever become a traitor to my own heart? I who love thee to distraction and dedicate to thee my body and my sprite, my spirit, to thee who art my queen, the very empress of me, freely I give myself to thee. Do thou with me whatso thou wilt. Let us not forget that he got over Princess Noor al-Nihar very fucking quickly, didn't he? Anyway, I guess he had to because it was hopeless, so maybe I won't be too harsh with him. Hereupon Peri-Banu said to Prince Ahmad, Thou art my husband and I am thy wife. The solemn promise made between thee and me standeth instead of marriage contract. It's a bit sus, isn't it? It's not exactly official. Sounds like another trickster game to me. No need have we of Qazi, i.e. judge, for with us all other forms and ceremonies are superfluous and of no avail. Anon I will show thee the chamber where we shall pass the bride night, and methinks thou wilt admire it, and confess that there is none like thereto in the whole world of men. I'm starting to smell a rat here, just saying. Presently her handmaidens spread the table and served up dishes of various kinds, and the finest wines in flagons, and goblets of gold dubbed with jewels. Then they twain sat at meat and ate and drank their sufficiency. Then Peri-Banu took Prince Ahmad by the hand and led him to her private chamber wherein she slept, and he stood upon the threshold, amazed to see the magnificence and the heaps of gems and precious stones which dazed his sight, till, recovering himself, he cried, Methinks there is not in the universe a room so splendid and decked with costly furniture and gemmed articles such as this. Quoth Peri-Banu, "And thou so admire and praise this palace, what wilt thou say when sighting the mansions and castles of my sire, the Jan King? Happily too, when thou shalt behold my garden, thou wilt be filled with wonder and delight. But now 'tis over late to lead thee thither, and night approacheth." Then she ushered Prince Ahmad into another room where the supper had been spread, and the splendour of the saloon yielded in naught to any of the others, nay, rather it was the more gorgeous and dazzling. Hundreds of wax candles set in candelabra of the finest amber and the purest crystal, ranged on all sides, rained floods of light, whilst golden flower pots and vessels of finest workmanship and priceless worth, of lovely shapes and wondrous art, adorned the niches and the walls. Tongue of man can never describe the magnificence of that room, in which bands of virgin Peri, loveliest of forms and fairest of features, garbed in choicest garments, played on sweet-toned instruments of mirth and merriment, or sang lays of amorous significance to strains of heart-bewitching music. Then they twain, to which the bride and bridegroom sat down at meat, ever and anon delaying to indulge in toyings and bashful love-play and chaste caresses. Peri-Banu, with her own hands, passed the choicest mouthfuls to Prince Ahmad, and made him taste of each dish and dainty, telling him their names and whereof they were composed. But how shall I, O auspicious King Shahryar, avail to give thee any notion of those gene-made dishes, or to describe with due meed of praise the delicious flavour of meats such as no mortal ever tasted or ever beheld? Bear in mind, now that he's eaten from the fairy realm, he's probably trapped in fairyland forever, which may or may not be a good thing, depending on the whims of the fae. I hear terrible horror stories told of, if they don't like you, how they sadistically brutalise you daily and nightly for eons. Got to be careful not to upset the fairy realms, just saying. Then, when both had supped, they drank. I hear laughter in the background. Well, that's okay. We know. Then, when both had supped, they drank the choicest wines, and ate with relish sweet conserves, and dry fruit, and a dessert of various delicacies. At length, when they had their requirement of eating and drinking, they retired into another room which contained a raised dais of the grandest, bedecked with gold-purfled cushions, and pillows wrought with seed pearl and Achaemenian tapestries, whereupon they took seat side by side for converse and solace. Definitely brewing an earache, it's quite sore. It's not good, is it? People are every day a new fucking illness. I'm so sick of that too. Then came in a troop of genes and fairies, who danced and sang before them with wondrous grace and art. And this pretty show pleased Peri-Banu and Prince Ahmad, who watched the sports and displays with ever-renewed delight. At last the new wedded couple rose and retired, weary of revelry. It's interesting, my ear started really aching just as the storm's about to break upon us in the next 20 minutes or so. At last the newly wedded couple rose and retired, weary of revelry, to another chamber, wherein they found that the slaves had dispread the genial bed, whose frame was gold studded with jewels, and whose furniture was of satin and sendal flowered with the rarest embroidery. Sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Here the guests who attended at the marriage festival and the handmaids of the palace, ranged in 2 lines, hailed the bride and bridegroom as they went within, and then, craving dismissal, they all departed, leaving them to take their joyance in bed, consummate their marriage. On such wise the marriage festival and nuptial merrymakings were kept up day after day, with new dishes and novel sports, novel dances and new music, and had Prince Ahmad lived 1,000 years with mortal kind, never could he have seen such revels or heard such strains or enjoyed such loveliesse. Sounds all quite wonderful. Oh, when does the shoe fall, people of earth? I mustn't be negative. Let us rejoice in the fairyland loveliesse. Your time will come. Thank you. I would greatly appreciate that. I've had loveliesse for quite some time. Shh. Thus, 6 months soon passed in the fairyland beside Peri-Banu. Here we come. I'm wrong. It's going to be quicker than 20 minutes. Thus 6 months soon passed in fairyland beside Peri-Banu, whom he loved with a love so fond that he would not lose her from his sight for a moment's space, but would feel restless and ill at ease whenas he ceased to look upon her. Oh, sweet, innit? In like manner, Peri-Banu was fulfilled with affection for him, and strove to please her bridegroom more and more every moment by new arts of dalliance and fresh appliances of pleasure, until so absorbing waxed his passion for her, that the thought of home and kindred, kith and kin, faded from his thoughts and fled his mind. He was lost in fairyland. But after a time his memory awoke from slumber. I was wrong. And at times he found himself longing to look upon his father, albeit well did he wot that it were impossible to find out how the fair one fared unless he went himself to visit him. So one day quoth he to Peri-Banu, "An it be thy pleasure, I pray thee give me thy command, that I may leave thee for a few days to see my sire, who doubtless grieveth at my long absence, and suffereth all the sorrows of separation from his son." I've already guessed the outcome. Time is different between human world and fairy worlds. Vastly different, can sometimes be 1,000 years in difference. Peri-Banu, hearing these words, was dismayed with sore dismay, for that she thought within herself that this was only an excuse whereby he might escape and leave her after enjoyment and possession had made her love pull upon the palate of his mind. So quoth she in reply, Hast thou forgotten thy vows and thy plighted troth, that thou wishest to leave me now? Have love and longing ceased to stir thee, whilst my heart always throbbeth in raptures, as it hath ever done at the very thought of thee? Replied the prince, O dearling of my soul, my queen, my empress, what be these doubts that haunt thy mind, and why such sad misgivings and sorrowful words? I know full well that the love of thee and thine affection me wids are even as thou sayest, and did I not acknowledge this truth, or did I prove unthankful, or fail to regard thee with a passion as warm and deep, and as tender and as true as thine own, I were indeed an ingrate and a traitor of the darkest dye, for they exist, people of earth. I can write a book on that alone. Far be it from me to desire severance from thee, nor hath any thought of leaving thee, never to return at any time, crossed my mind. But my father is now an old man, well shotten in years, and he is sore aggrieved in mind at this long separation from his youngest son. If thou wilt deign command, I would fain go visit him, and with all haste return to thine arms, yet I would not do aught in this matter against thy will, and such is my fond affection for thee, that I would fain be at all hours of the day and watches of the night by thy side, nor leave thee for a moment of time. Peri-Banu was somewhat comforted by his speech, and from his looks, words, and acts, she was certified that Prince Ahmad really loved her with fondest love, that his heart was true as steel to her as was his tongue. Whereupon she granted him leave and liberty to set forth and see his sire, whilst at the same time she gave him strict commandment not to tarry long with his kith and kin. Hearken now, O auspicious King Shahryar, to what befell the Sultan of Hindustan, and how it fared with him after the marriage of Prince Ali to Princess Nur al-Nihar. Oh, it's a truck down the road. I thought it might be the another courier with my other parcel, but alas, no. After not seeing Prince Hussein and Prince Ahmad for the space of many days, the Sultan waxed exceeding sad and heavy-hearted, and one morning after Darbar asked his wazirs and ministers what had betided them and where they were. Hereto the councillors made answer, saying, O our Lord, and shadow of Allah upon earth, thine eldest son and fruit of thy vitals, and heir apparent to thine empire, the Prince Hussein, in his disappointment and jealousy and bitter grief, hath doffed his royal robes to become a hermit, a devotee, renouncing all worldly lusts and gusts. Degustation. appetites, I'm thinking. That's what they mean by that. Prince Ahmad, thy third son, also in high dudgeon, hath left the city, and of him none knoweth aught, whither they hath fled, or what hath befallen him. The king was sore distressed, and bade them write without stay or delay, and forthright dispatch firmans and commands to all the nabobs and governors of the provinces, with strict injunctions to make straight search for Prince Ahmad, and to send him to his sire the moment he was found. But albeit the commandments were carried out to the letter, and all the seekers used the greatest diligence, none came upon any trace of him. Because he was in fairyland, that's why. Goodness me, don't they know anything, these people? Then, with increased sadness of heart, the Sultan ordered his Grand Wazir to go in quest of the fugitive, and the minister replied, Upon my head be it, and mine eyes. Thy servant hath already caused most careful research to be made in every quarter, but not the smallest clue hath yet come to hand. And this matter troubleth me the more, for that he was dear to me as a son. The ministers and grandees now understood that the king was overwhelmed with woe, tearful-eyed and heavy-hearted by reason of the loss of Prince Ahmad, whereupon bethought the Grand Wazir of a certain witch, famed for the black art, who could conjure down the stars from heaven, and who was a noted dweller in the capital. Don't think that was wise, calling on someone versed in the black arts. What could go wrong, people of earth? So, going to the Sultan, he spake highly of his skill and knowledge of the abstruse, saying, Let the king, I pray thee, send for the sorceress, and inquire of her concerning his lost son. And the king replied, 'Tis well said, let her be brought hither, and haply she shall give me tidings of the prince, and how he fareth. So they fetched the sorceress, and set her before the Sultan, who said, O my good woman, I would have thee know that ever since the marriage of Prince Ali with the lady Nur al-Nihar, my youngest son, Prince Ahmad, who was disappointed in her love, hath disappeared from our sight, and no man knoweth aught of him. Do thou forthright apply thy magical craft, and tell me only this, is he yet alive, or is he dead? An he live, I would learn where he is, and how fareth he. Moreover, I would ask, is it written in my book of destiny that I shall see him yet again? To this the witch made reply, O Lord of the age and ruler of the times and tide, 'tis not possible for me at once to answer all these questions which belong to the knowledge of hidden things. But if thy highness deign grant me one day of grace, I will consult my books of grammar, and on the morrow will give thee a sufficient reply, and a satisfactory. Getting rather hungry. 12:42 p.m. The Sultan to this assented, saying, And thou can give me detailed and adequate answer, and set my mind at ease after this sorrow, thou shalt have an exceeding great reward, and I will honour thee with highmost honour. Next day the sorceress, accompanied by the Grand Wazir, craved permission to appear before the presence, and, when it was granted, came forward and said, I have made ample investigation by my art and mystery, and I have assured myself that Prince Ahmad is yet in the land of the living. Be not therefore uneasy in thy mind on his account, but at present save this only, naught else can I discover regarding him, nor can I say for sure where he be, or how he is to be found. Bearing in mind that he's in another dimension with the fairy folk. At these words the Sultan took comfort, and hope sprang up within his breast that he should see his son again ere he died. Now return we to the story of Prince Ahmad. Whenas Peri-Banu understood that he was bent upon visiting his sire, and she was convinced that his love herwards remained firm and steadfast as before, she took thought and determined that it would ill become her to refuse him leave and liberty for such purpose. So she again pondered the matter in her mind and debated with herself for many an hour, till at length, one day of the days, she turned to her husband and said, Albeit my heart consenteth not to part from thee for a moment, or to lose sight of thee for a single instant, still, inasmuch as thou hast oft times made entreaty of me, and hast shown thyself so solicitous to see thy sire, I will no longer baffle thy wish. But this my favour will depend upon one condition, otherwise I will never grant thy petition and give thee such permission. Swear to me, the most binding of oaths, that thou wilt haste thee back hither with all possible speed, and thou wilt not by long absence cause me yearning grief and anxious waiting for thy safe return to me. Prince Ahmad, well pleased to win his wish, thanked her, saying, O my beloved, fear not for me after any fashion, and rest assured I will come back to thee with all haste, as soon as I shall have seen my sire, and life hath no charms for me away from thy presence. Although I must needs be severed from thee for a few days, yet will my heart ever turn to thee, and thee only. Quoth she to her husband, Prince Ahmad, So now, as soon as thy heart desireth, go thou and pay thy respects to thy sire. But ere thou set out, I would charge thee with one charge, and look that on no wise thou regret my rede and my counsel. Speak not to any a single word of this thy marriage, nor of the strange sights thou hast seen and the wonders thou hast witnessed, but keep them carefully concealed from thy father and thy brethren, and from thy kith and kin, one and all. This only shalt thou tell thy sire, so his mind may be set at ease, that thou art buxom and happy, full-breasted and happy. Also that thou hast returned home for a while only with the object of seeing him and becoming assured of his welfare. Then she gave orders to her people, bidding them make ready for the journey without delay, and when all things were prepared, she appointed 20 horsemen, armed cap a pie and fully accoutred, to accompany her husband, and gave him a horse of perfect form and proportions, swift as the blinding levin or the rushing wind, and its housings and furniture were bedecked with precious ores and studded with jewels. I wonder why I have an earache. Why is that, people of earth? It's ridiculous. Then she fell on his neck, and they embraced with warmest love, and as the twain bade adieu, Prince Ahmad, to set her mind at rest, renewed his protestations and sware to her again his solemn oath. You thirsty, Charlie? You must be thirsty. Mommy's thirsty. Yeah, have a drink. Then, mounting his horse, never work with children and birds, people of it. Then mounting, thanks for that, Charlie. Then mounting his horse, and followed by his suite, all gin-born cavaliers, he set forth with mighty pomp and circumstance, and riding diligently, he soon reached his father's capital. You quite done? Thank you. Here he was received with loud acclamations, the like of which had never been known in the land. Returning to his dimension and time. Beautiful horses, really beautiful. I love horses. The ministers and officers of state, the citizens and the riots, all rejoiced with exceeding joy to see him once more, and the folk left their work, and with blessings and low obeisances joined the cavalcade, and crowding around him on every side, escorted him to the palace gates. When the prince reached the threshold, he dismounted, and entering the audience hall, fell at his father's feet and kissed them in a transport of filial affection. I might have to break this up, it's a very long story, and I'm hungry and I'm tired and I'm just on the brink of anarchy and chaos. Yes, kissed them in a transport of filial affection. The Sultan, well nigh distraught for delight at the unexpected sight of Prince Ahmad, rose from his throne and threw himself upon his son's neck, weeping for very joy, and kissed his forehead, saying, "O dear my child, in despair at the loss of the lady Nur al-Nihar, thou didst suddenly fly from thy home, and despite all research, nor trace nor sign of thee was to be found, however sedulously we sought thee. And I, distracted at thy disappearance, am reduced to this condition in which thou seest me. Where hast thou been this long while, and how hast thou lived all this time?" Replied Prince Ahmad, "'Tis true, O my lord the king, that I was downhearted and distressed to see Prince Ali gain the hand of my cousin, but that is not the whole cause of my absence. Thou mayest remember how, when we three brothers rode at thy command to yonder plain for a trial of archery, my shaft, albeit the place was large and flat, disappeared from sight, and none could find where it had fallen. Now so it fortuned that one day, in sore heaviness of mind, I fared forth alone and unaccompanied to examine the ground thereabout, and try if haply I could find my arrow. But when I reached the spot where the shafts of my brothers, Princes Hussein and Ali, had been picked up, I made search in all directions." Oh yes, here comes my parcel. Yes. Yes, yes. Turn around, come to me. Yes, 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 yes. Here it is. Right and left, before and behind, thinking that thereabouts mine also might come to hand, but all my trouble was in vain. Where's it gone now? I found neither shaft nor aught else. I'll wait till it gets closer. So walking onwards in obstinate research, I might be wrong, might be for someone else, I went a long way, and at last despairing, I would have given up the quest, for full well I knew that my bow could not have carried so far, and indeed that 'twere impossible for any marksman to have driven bolt or pile to such distance, when suddenly I espied it. No, it's not for me. Damn it. When suddenly I espied it lying flat upon a rock, some 4 parasangs distance from this place. It's odd though, because he was looking over here when he parked over there. Oh well. The Sultan marvelled with such marvel at his words, and the prince presently resumed. So when I picked up the arrow, O my lord, and considered it closely, I knew it for the very one I had shot, but admired in my mind how it had come to fly so far, and I doubted not that there was a somewhat mysterious about the matter. While I thus reflected, I came upon the place where I have sojourned ever since that day in perfect solace and happiness. I may not tell thee more of my tale than this, for I came only to ease thy mind on my account, and now I pray thee deign grant me, is he coming here now? Maybe. Grant me thy supreme permission that I return forthright to my home of delights. From time to time I will not cease to wait upon thee, and to inquire of thy welfare with all the affection of a son. I'm going to break it up here, people of Earth, because I'm actually flying out of my consciousness, and I feel quite weak, and I need to have something to eat, and I want to hunt down what's happening. I think that is a courier. I don't know what he's doing. They play little tricks on me, Simon. Simon, this is why I'm anxious. Just before the Christmas period, some said that I wasn't home, that my gates were locked, which was a blatant fucking lie, because I don't have locks on my gates. And I actually saw the man in my driveway look at me, eyeball me, and then fuck off with my parcel, for which I wanted to kill him. Not literally, but figuratively speaking. And then I had to wait 3 more days while Australia Post hunted it down. I mean, it's just rude. So hence, whenever I'm expecting delivery, there's this anxiety and anticipation and distrust on my part. I mean, the man that produced this stone was, here he goes again, driving off again. See? It's gone round in a circle. Well, clearly he doesn't have a parcel for me, so he's gone now. But it's odd. It's odd, the shenanigans. They try to mess my fragile little mind that is actually tighter than a steel trap and one step ahead of them. But anyway, what can I do? It wasn't my parcel. I was wrong this time. I was wrong. But it's just a bit odd what goes on sometimes here at Sacred Space, and I have to ride through all that nonsense as well. It's just ridiculous. Just checking my emails, because sometimes they email me to say that they're coming at such and such a time. But no. So maybe it was this one that they had announced was coming in the message, and that they just came early. But the gravers will arrive. The gravers will arrive in due course. I just need to be patient. Let me mark this book where I've finished. hard to know. Oh, hello. It's hard to know where to break it up. I kind of don't want to stop on one hand, but it's obsessional and I'm tired. I really am tired. So we'll stop here. Right. Decision made, people of Earth. Mama T has to ride her own chariot. Alright, so we'll stop here and we'll come back with part 3, maybe later today or maybe tomorrow. I need a rest. Love you all, bye.